Today's devotional in the book of Jonah is entitled The Sign of Jonah. Let's now read from Jonah 1 verse 17. Now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. In summary, the sign of Jonah means that Jonah's 3 days in the depths of the sea is like a signpost to Jesus' 3 days in the grave and his resurrection, bringing us freedom and victory. Let me say that again. In summary, the sign of Jonah means that Jonah's 3 days in the depths of the sea are like a signpost to Jesus' 3 days in the grave and his resurrection, bringing freedom and victory to us. In the book of Jonah, we have seen that Jonah was called by God to go and preach to the people of Nineveh. However, Jonah disobeyed God and ran away on a ship in the opposite direction. As a result, God sent a storm, ending with Jonah being thrown overboard and swallowed by a large fish. Here in the dark and deep for 3 days and 3 nights, he will learn humility, prayer, and worship. It's important to notice that Jesus refers to his 3 days in the tomb as the sign of the prophet Jonah. We read in Matthew 12, 39 to 41, he answered, "A wicked and adulterous generation asks for a sign, but none will be given except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and now something greater than Jonah is here." The story of Jonah is a sign because it foreshadowed Jesus' own death and resurrection, where Jesus was swallowed up by death for 3 days before rising from the dead. The miracle of Jonah's very strange circumstances is a reminder of Jesus' death and resurrection for our salvation. So, what does this sign of Jonah speak to us about? Well, firstly, God will protect us. In the depths and darkness, God will protect us as he protected Jonah. Jesus' death and resurrection speaks of his power over all things. He has not forsaken us. So the sign of Jonah speaks firstly of God's protection of us. Secondly, the sign of Jonah speaks to us of justification for peace. As Jonah being thrown into the storm brought peace to the raging sea, so Jesus being thrown into death for us has given us justification and peace no matter how we feel. Thirdly, finally, the sign of Jonah speaks of hope. As Jonah was vomited onto the shore, so Jesus was raised to life. His resurrection speaks to us of our future resurrection. We will have a resurrection body. We will be in a restored creation. The resurrection points to the restoration of all things. So in response, recall the sign of Jonah. Look, remember what the sign of Jonah points to. When we're fearful, recall the sign of Jonah. Recall his power, God's power over creation. Recall his power to protect. Recall his power to release you from the depths. most importantly, allow the sign of Jonah to signpost you to Jesus' death and resurrection to give you freedom and hope. God bless you.